Welcome to another exploration of the human condition, delving into the shadowed corners of our social interactions. Today, we confront a particularly insidious phenomenon: the corrosive presence of resentment in our close relationships. To find ourselves habitually surrounded by those who harbor resentment towards us is to dwell in a state of perpetual unease, a constant battle against the insidious forces of mockery, envy, and rage. Now, consider the very nature of resentment. It is not merely dislike nor even simple anger. Resentment, as the etymology suggests, is a refeeling, a cyclical return to the wound, a festering sore that never truly heals. It is a poison that seeps into the very fabric of interaction, distorting perception and warping intent. Imagine, if you will, a scenario. You share a success, a hard-won victory, with a close acquaintance. Instead of genuine joy, you are met with a subtle, almost imperceptible sneer, a dismissive comment, a veiled attempt to diminish your achievement. This, my friends, is the manifestation of mockery born of resentment. The resentful individual, unable to reconcile your accomplishment with their own perceived lack, resorts to belittling your efforts, seeking to level the playing field through verbal sabotage. The psychological literature, particularly in the realm of social psychology, is replete with studies on the destructive nature of subtle aggression. These microaggressions, these seemingly insignificant jabs, accumulate over time, eroding self-esteem and creating a constant state of hypervigilance. You find yourself second-guessing every word, every action, anticipating the next subtle attack. Then there is envy, the green-eyed monster, as Shakespeare so aptly named it. It is not merely a desire for what another possesses, but a deep-seated belief that they do not deserve it. The resentful individual, consumed by envy, will subtly undermine your efforts, sabotage your progress, and spread whispers that tarnish your reputation. They seek not merely to possess what you have, but to destroy your possession of it. Think of the biblical story of Cain and Abel. Cain's resentment, his inability to accept Abel's favor, culminates in an act of ultimate destruction. This is the dark potential of envy, the destructive force that can drive individuals to extreme measures. And finally, there is rage, the raw, unfiltered expression of the festering wound. The resentful individual, unable to contain their inner turmoil, erupts in fits of anger, often directed at the very person they resent. This rage is not always overt. It can manifest as passive-aggressive behavior, as silent treatment, as a constant undercurrent of hostility. Consider the work of Dr. Robert Firestone, who extensively studied destructive relationship patterns. He highlights the critical inner voice, a self-destructive thought process that fuels resentment and projects negativity onto others. This critical inner voice, when amplified by the presence of a resentful individual, creates a toxic feedback loop, reinforcing negative perceptions and perpetuating conflict. So, what is to be done? How do we extricate ourselves from these toxic entanglements? Firstly, recognize the signs. Pay attention to the subtle cues, the fleeting expressions, the undercurrent of negativity. Trust your intuition. If you consistently feel drained, anxious, or diminished in the presence of someone, it is likely that resentment is at play. Secondly, establish boundaries. As I have often stated, boundaries are not walls, they are lines. They define where you begin and where you end. Do not allow others to violate your boundaries, to trespass on your emotional territory. This may require difficult conversations, but it is essential for your well-being. Thirdly, cultivate self-respect. Understand your worth, your inherent dignity. Do not allow the opinions of resentful individuals to define your self-perception. As Viktor Frankl wrote in Man's Search for Meaning, everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. Choose to value yourself. Fourthly, seek out genuine connections. Surround yourself with individuals who celebrate your successes, who offer support and encouragement. As the saying goes, birds of a feather flock together. Choose your flock wisely. And finally, be willing to let go. Some relationships are simply not salvageable. Holding on to them, clinging to the hope of change, only prolongs the suffering. Sometimes, the most courageous act is to walk away, to create space for peace and healing. Remember, listeners, peace is not a luxury, it is a necessity. It is the foundation upon which a meaningful life is built. Do not allow the serpent's coil of resentment to strangle your peace of mind.